Open the door!
Open the door!
Open the door! It's not open!
We are talking Classroom 6 from 2015. This one is written and directed by Jonas Odenheimer. And this is a found footage movie. If you're a found footage movie fan, you would probably like this one, as it does follow a very kind of tried and tested found footage formula. However, let's discuss a little further about the plot. So, Classroom 6 is the story of this particular kind of school or university or something like that, and apparently there has been some strange shenanigans going on there, and we're told in some exposition that there has been this lecturer and the student that has disappeared seemingly without a trace, specifically from Classroom 6. But things are not just limited to that classroom, it's the whole area. So we have this team of TV documentarians that want to go there and try and either prove or disprove the legends about this particular kind of classroom. And we have this kind of female lead kind of presenter, the various kind of crew. There's a couple of like experts on hand, so like a guy with ESP and stuff. And in the beginning of the movie we get some kind of interviews and stuff like that. And then the crew there, much like if you've seen Grave Encounters, they are going to get locked in overnight and film everything. And obviously stuff goes not to plan. So let's discuss what works with Classroom 6. Now, I had actually heard this one was quite a good movie, so I was kind of looking forward to it. And but I don't really know much about it. I mean, it's kind of on the lines of your kind of paranormal activity in the fact that you don't really kind of see anything. It is very much kind of left to your imagination. With things like Grave Encounters, like I've mentioned, you do see kind of more things on screen, more kind of special effects on screen. This one you don't, but it does kind of give it a, you know, a more of a traditional kind of found footage flavour to it to a certain degree, you know, like the kind of obviously the Grid, Blair Witch, I suppose. You know, so it does go to a fairly kind of standard story, but it does have an attempt here at some pretty interesting world building. There's some really exposition about kind of how parallel dimensions work, and you know what may have caused it, which is kind of interesting. And yeah, obviously when things kind of start to get going, the tension does kind of go up. But you may feel like I'm being somewhat vague with this positives, because I have to be honest with you, there's nothing that stands out about this movie. I don't think it's a terrible film, but it really is a by the numbers found footage movie. It literally does the same thing every other found footage movie does of its kind of subgenre, I suppose. You know, we have this kind of like group of TV researchers and experts, and one thing that really I didn't like about this movie was the amount of bickering. For one night, these people have got a job to do, and they just bicker and bicker and bicker. And they seem so unprofessional, even in some of the technical aspects. For example, this is not like some of them where we get a kind of a group of amateur ghost hunters. This is apparently a established TV crew. Yet we've got the guy on the camera seems to be constantly zooming in and out of whenever he's interviewing someone. I thought, what are you doing? You know, this is not how a professional cameraman would be. And he's like, it's just like extreme close-up and stuff. I don't know why the choice was there to do that, but anyway. And then there's just the kind of the rank amateurish of the feel of the cast here. Not the actors necessarily, but just the kind of like the characters just did not seem like they were a legitimate film crew. Now, it's not a found footage movie, but if you ever see the film The Dead Room, that is a similar story where we have a group of researchers go into the house, etc. But what I liked about that movie particularly was the professionalism that these actors gave this portrayal of their characters. You know, they seemed like they were experts in their field, or at least, you know, they were professional in their field. In this film, they just seem like a bunch of rank amateurs. So I think that the fact of them being a professional film crew did not work for me. You could have got around that by saying that they were amateur ghost hunters or something along the lines of that, and there we would have had a degree of unprofessionalism which could be kind of baked into the story. But the vast amount of screen time here is devoted to people arguing. And, you know, I get when people are scared that will happen, but this is really before anything of supernatural origin really starts to kind of happen, to be quite honest, although it carries on into that. So the characters are somewhat unlikable. You don't really ever see anything outside of a chair moving or a tennis ball being, you know, it's obviously extremely low budget. So, you know, I can kind of forgive that, but it's just, there's no originality in this movie whatsoever. I mean, it is just a by-the-numbers found footage film with quite annoying characters, a lot of kind of arguing, and not much else, unfortunately. So I've got to say, I was disappointed with this one. I think if you don't have the budget to do things, you need to kind of have a good idea at least, and kind of a way to, you know, make your story sound a little bit more interesting. And even if you don't have a budget to do a big special effects thing, you can kind of, there are ways you can kind of do an interesting low budget movie. But this one is just following the kind of the how-to playbook. So because of that, I will give this a 4 out of 10. And I do think it's a slightly below average film because it's standard, and then you have some kind of like poor character choices, I think, as well. So 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I shall look forward to seeing you next time.